Okay, good evening, everyone. Can we please rise for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a young lady that said the pledge quite well. Thank you. Okay, we'll open the meeting up tonight to our special presentations, and the first one that everybody really enjoys is the leaders of the pack. So I'll ask the elementary school to come forward. And parents, after they read about the leader of the pack, you can come up and take photos.
Good evening, everyone. We have Margaret Brown here for the elementary school, April leader of the pack. Margaret is in Ms. Compayne's class, and our teaching assistant, Ms. Delmar, is here tonight. Ms. Compayne says, Maggie is a first grade student who consistently demonstrates all of the qualities of a leader of the pack. She puts forth her best effort in everything she does and maintains strong attendance. Maggie shows excellent character through her kindness, honesty, and positive attitude. She is polite and respectful to both her teachers and peers. She is always willing to lend a helping hand. Maggie demonstrates strong self-control, makes thoughtful choices, and is a wonderful role model for others. Her positive attitude toward learning and her caring nature make her an excellent choice for this recognition. Mrs. Canosa, your PE teacher, she said Margaret always gives her best effort in PE and leads by example. Ms. McCaffrey, your music teacher, says Maggie is a wonderful student in first grade music. She comes to class with a positive attitude, participates enthusiastically, and shows a genuine love for singing and musical activities. Maggie is a kind and respectful classmate who follows directions well and always gives her best effort. It's a joy to have her in music class. Mrs. Petroshock, your library teacher, said Maggie is always a warm, welcoming presence in the library. She is eager to learn and a wonderful role model for her peers. Ms. Hughes, last one, STEAM teacher, said Maggie is an absolute pleasure to have in my STEAM class. She brings such a lovely and positive attitude and is always willing to give all of her effort to every project or activity that we do. Maggie earning the leader of the pack is well deserved. Yeah, I'll get out of the way.
She did a really great job on the pledge.
Middle school?
This might be our best dress leader in the pack. There you go, sir. All right, our leader of the pack is Jackson Johnson. Miss Curlis, your social studies teacher, said a true leader. Jackson always has a smile on his face. He's so kind to everyone around him. He works hard, participates, advocates for himself, and helps others in need. His grades are amazing, and he always takes opportunities to make them even better. Jackson's always very respectful and just an absolute pleasure to be around. Mrs. Monaperto, your advanced math teacher, advanced math. Jackson is an excellent student in advanced math who consistently works hard, demonstrates perseverance, and is always willing to challenge himself academically. Moreover, he is kind to his peers and enjoys helping others. Jackson is a true leader in and out of the classroom. Your art teacher says Jackson is a considerate and thoughtful student who always comes into class with an optimistic attitude. He always puts his best foot forward, whether he's working on a project or interacting with friends and staff. Jackson's absolutely deserving of leader of the pack and is a great example to all of us on how to lead with kindness. Your ELA teacher, Ms. Angelone, says Jackson demonstrates excellent work in ELA through his strong effort, attention to detail, and positive attitude toward learning. He actively participates in class discussions, shares thoughtful ideas, and makes meaningful connections to text. He stays focused during independent work and collaborates well with classmates during group activities. And I could go on for all the teachers and much of the same about how kind and respectful you are. And as the person in the cafeteria every day, I can attest to that.
They're right there.
I'll take it for you, Chris.
Yeah.
You can have it one-sided.
Yeah.
There we go.
High school.
Alright, Maddox.
Had to sprint over here too, right?
A couple of events.
All right. Awesome. So our leader of the pack is Maddox T-Ball Edmonds, who is, part of everything here. So few things that his teacher said, Senor Otis. Maddox is a smart, creative, and outgoing student with strong language skills. He's a pleasure to have in class, and I will miss him next year. Mrs. Matthews, your chorus teacher. It has been an absolute joy to watch Maddox flourish in the music department at Highland High School. He has grown into an independent, confident, knowledgeable, and talented musician I can depend on to keep my choir and musicals running smoothly. He consistently leads my students in vocal warm-ups, sight reading exercises, and sectional rehearsals in which he easily commands the students' respect with kindness and a calm sense of control. He is a model participant in every aspect of the rehearsals that I lead, and I often accompanies the group on piano and percussion instruments. He has even conducted a song in rehearsals and a performance. Maddox is an invaluable asset to the choral program at Highland High School, and I'm so grateful to have been part of his musical journey. Miss Mancuso, your PE teacher, Maddox is the perfect recipient of the Leader of the Pack Award. I've had the pleasure of both teaching and coaching Maddox, and I can say that he puts great effort into everything he does. Maddox is extremely talented and well-rounded, and the best of all Maddox brings a smile and kindness wherever he goes. And Mr. Shaw, your band teacher, Maddox is an exceptional and versatile musician, performing on a piano in the jazz band and percussion in the concert band. This year, he was selected as an alternate for the New York State Band Directors Association All-State Jazz Band, composes his own original music and songs, and excels in AP music theory. In addition to his musical achievements, Maddox serves as an officer in the Tri-M Music Honor Society, demonstrating both leadership and dedication to the school's music community. I am looking forward to his first album, and I'm hoping for an autographed vinyl copy. Congratulations.
And for people that don't know, on Maria Peterson's Facebook page today, she put up a video of Maddox getting ready to perform for his recital. Pretty awesome. Nice job.
So much. That's awesome.
I want to be in the picture.
Yeah.
Can I take one? Oh, you're amazing.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Come on in.
Or do you want to go next?
Oh, no.
Okay. Of course.
Come on in.
Okay, ready? 1, 2. Oh, there you go.
Congratulations.
Sorry we made you run around.
Literally ran over from his race.
No
Just
problem.
had to win one.
Again, on behalf of the entire Board of Education, congratulations to all our leaders of the pack. Job well done. I'll ask if those parents who are here with their children, if you'd like to leave or you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're more than welcome. Okay, before we go into our budget presentation, our student rep has another appointment to go to, so we're going to have him go now, and then if there's any questions from the board, we can ask.
Starting off in the elementary school, the Student Voice Club has been actively working on initiatives that build both the community and school pride. In recognition of Earth Day, students are coordinating a school-wide cleanup event tomorrow, April 22nd, to promote environmental stewardship and responsibility. In addition, students are developing an elementary school memories bulletin board to celebrate the journey and milestones of our 5th grade class as they prepare to transition to middle school. And at the middle school, on Friday, April 10th, 8th grade students had the opportunity to visit the Highland Fire Station, where they participated in hands-on activities led by our volunteer firefighters. These stations included forcible entry, turnout gear jet drills, hose-on advancement, and search and rescue. Students also learned about the department's history and the role and responsibilities of volunteer firefighters in our community. Planning is also in full swing for the end of the year events, including the 8th grade dance, field day, and several trips to Rocking Horse Ranch, Walkway Over the Hudson, and Lake Conference. Additionally, student leaders are collaborating with both elementary and high schools and the high school to strengthen transition programs for incoming 6th and 9th graders. And finally, at the high school, capstone projects have been a major focus this past month. Several students have completed meaningful community-based work, including Hope Williams, who visited the elementary school to lead theater activities for 3rd and 4th graders during music classes. Additionally, Garen Coburn and Logan Davis organized a lacrosse clinic for students in grades 3 to 6, while Michael Kohler hosted a basketball clinic for students in grades K through 6, helping younger students build skills and stay active. World Language Night was successfully held on April 17th. This event, organized by both Spanish and French honor societies, showcased the diversity of language programs and student learning across the district. A highlight of the evening was the induction of juniors into the language honor societies by current senior members. The event also featured a wide variety of food from different cultures, and all the proceeds of the night went towards supporting both the language honor societies. And then finally, the Triam Music Honor Society also hosted their annual cabaret on April 16th, which saw a full cafeteria and an incredible display of student talent. Performances included singing, dancing, and instrumental music presented in a creative and engaging atmosphere. This year's cabaret was a major success and highlighted the strength of our music program. And that's all I have.
Any questions from the board? Thank you, Logan.
Thank you.
Sneaking out.
Okay. Our next presentation will be from our business official, Desmond Barnett, budget presentation and property tax report card.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Tonight, we will review the FY 26-27 budget. We'll talk about the revenue shortfall recommendations. We'll go over the FY 26-27 budget recommendation. We'll review the contingency budget. We'll talk about the New York State property tax report card. We'll discuss propositions 1 and propositions 2. We'll talk about due dates, and finally, one of my favorite things, the budget calendar. I'm so excited that we actually have somebody on stage for this presentation. So the last presentation we talked about, I addressed or presented that we had a budget shortfall of $576,204. I presented 3 shortfall recommendations to close the gap. Tonight's presentation is in alignment with solution number 1, which talks about using the ERS reserves and the fund balance reserves. So let's look at our revised budget, revenue budget. The state has extended its budget approval, extended its budget approval to tomorrow. I guess it's the 21st or 22nd, which I don't think is going to happen. The state aid revenue of $21,472,754 is based on the governor's run from January 2026, and also includes an additional $150,000 in high cost and excess cost revenue. You'll notice on the Medicaid line we have an additional $10,000. That is because we are exploring additional Medicaid transportation reimbursement, and that's what we're thinking a conservative $10,000 would be appropriate. On the pilots, it is the standard increase in pilot payments. Each year they increase because each agreement is kind of moving forward in their statement. We have other revenue, which was a question at the last presentation. What is comprised of other revenue? It is interest income on deposits, displaced students revenue, resident student tuitions, E-rate reimbursement, thank you, Rich, late fees for real property, and prior year refunds. As you can see, we have the $500,000 applied to fund balance. That is per recommendation number 1. I wanted to address, as last week there was a comment about, are we committed to the 1.65 as a go forward? The answer to that is no. In addition, the 76,204 is part of my your recommendation number 1. So that is for the ERS reserves. We come down to the tax levy, which is an increase of 907,928 or 2.68%. And finally, we come down to the total increase in revenue of 2,283,678 or 3.98%. Any questions so far? Okay. There are no changes to our expenses from the last presentation in terms of the expenditures, so we are still at 59,608,963. Therefore, the addition of the 76,204 in ERS reserves and the 500,000 in applied balance brings us to a total of for FY 26-27 revenue of 59,608,963. Folks, we now have a balanced budget. Questions, comments? If not, then I will move on to what is a contingent budget. Contingent budget. If the proposed budget fails, a second budget vote can be held. If the second proposed budget fails, then we must adopt a contingent budget. Under a contingent budget or contingency budget, the tax levy cannot be increased from the prior year. This would be a reduction of 907,928. That number should start to be familiar. That is the increase we talked about a little while ago. This would mean no equipment purchases to the tune of $230,000, and we'd have to do an additional cuts of $677,928 in expenses. They give you some examples of what allowable contingent expenses are classified into 3 categories. For example, there would be legal expenses. Any legal things that we are obligated to pay, we would have to pay. Expenditures specifically authorized by statute that we would have to pay or budget for, and essential to maintain the educational program, preserve property, and assure the health and safety of students and staff. There will be no non-essential maintenance would be allowed. This, I know it's a very large image, this slide shows the actual report card that will be submitted to NYSED. I've added this extra column just for your information. As you can see here, this is the reduction from our prior year tax levy to the current would be 907. We would have to reduce expenditures accordingly by the 907. It's a simple math. So if the budget does not get passed, we have to find, for the second time, you have to find reductions of 907,928 in your budget. Questions? Okay.
Desmond,
Yes.
Contingent budget. We have the opportunity to go for a second vote on the
Yes, you do.
current budget with some reductions.
With some reductions.
Not necessarily go directly to a contingent.
Not directly to the 907. We can make additional cuts if you
If our
want to.
second attempt fails, then we have to go to
Then
a
you have to go to
contingent.
the contingent budget. That is absolutely correct. So we'll talk about the property tax report card. Property tax report card, and I apologize, it is very hard to see, but this is one of my favorite reports that we send to the state. The property tax report card is required by the state. It's a state aid form that shows our current proposed 26 budget, our tax levy, and our reserve balances. You really can't see it there, but it's all listed here and here. The state then requires all school districts to submit their estimated intended use of their reserves, and that is what this form is about. I've scaled it down, because that's a little hard to see, to this slide. This basically shows to the state what we intend to use our reserves for. I mean, I've said it before in the presentation. 76,204 we plan to use for the ERS reserves, and there's 116,000 in tax cert reserves. That is a legal requirement we have to pay. The stipulation that was done last year, they were required to pay a tax cert reimbursement for this year. And so that is one of the legal stipulations that we would have to pay, and I budgeted for that. Once again, this is what the state is looking for to see what reserves we would use. Any questions? It should be noted that these reserves that are currently in place will change based upon the fund balance we end up with at the end of this school year. So this is an estimate. They're not holding my feet to the fire when we get to the end of the year. So, Proposition 1 is for the...
Desmond.
Yes.
Based on using additional fund balance to balance the budget,
Mm-hmm.
what does your crystal ball tell you about what we'll have left in terms of for reserves?
For this year? For the reserves or just fund balance?
Just in general, because I mean, right, usually that ending balance we're able to put into reserves.
Right.
But we're using an additional 500,000 of that. So do you think there will be additional to be still put into the reserves? Or
Yes,
you think that
I
will be...
do. My crystal ball will not look at put that number out until at least May, when I'm closer to cutting off all the spending and looking at all the expenditures we have to see if we have, yes, well, I think we'll be able to replenish that reserve accordingly.
What I struggle with a bit, and everybody here can probably know what I'm going to say. I struggle with that. What we were at 1.1 and now we're up to 1.65. I struggle big time with that. Just knowing that we're rolling that over year after year, and now we're increasing.
So you don't have to. I wanted to answer that point.
Right.
I mentioned earlier the 1.65. You don't have to. That is a decision that we've made, and you roll the 1.5. You started up 900,000. You added another
Right.
250. Went up to 1.1150. Now we're at 1.650. As we move into 27, 28 school year, we are not obligated to use that 1.6.
Yeah.
We can come up with whatever number we choose. The way some school districts do it is they build their budget, they show you their entire expenditures, show their revenue, excluding the use of fund balance. And then they say, well, let's see what we can do, find more revenue, and then they populate that number with the fund balance. It could be higher, it could be lower. So we have that option. If additional state aid had come in, we may not have used that. You could have also used some of your reserves accordingly. So it's up to the district to do that.
Yeah. No, understood, but we always end up there, right? And that's my struggle.
It's hard because when you're looking at your reserves that you want to use, I know we cushion those accordingly, and then we say, no, we don't want to touch them, and then we say, well, I don't want to touch the fund balance. You really don't have a lot of options where you can go to kind of plug the hole.
But I guess give me some perspective, because right, we're saying we're going to use 1.65 from our budget from this year and use it to apply to our next year's budget. So then we have to have 1.65 somewhere in the budget that we are under budget this year, right?
No, so you've got it in your reserves. You're not taking it out of this year's budget. It's in your fund balance that's part of on your books.
It's what's left over at the end of this year.
At the end of this year and previous years that we've had in the cost.
Correct. So in some instance, you've had line items where you have budgeted much higher than what we have used, right?
Yes.
So is there the opportunity to look at those lines and say, from our history of what we've used, we've always carried this over. Can we look at it differently and say, what should that budget line be so that I'm not carrying it over so I don't always see this fund balance? Or is there more benefit to just always carrying over that?
You need the cushion. And I'm going to say that lightly. Things happen in your budget. If I made that budget this tight this year, we would have gone down by that extra 500,000. It'd be very, very tight for 26, 27. If something should occur, if we don't get all the revenue we expected, then there would be an issue. And so that's where we have the problem. You need to have, in every school district, needs to have a little bit of margin. You budget a slightly higher because you don't know what's going to happen through that school year that you may have to change your budget. Emergencies, additional costs that are occurring. So you need that little leverage.
But doesn't history tell us that we've been doing this for how many years? That, right? It's not like we had it this year and we didn't have it last year.
Yes.
We've done this for the whole 12 years I've been on the board, right?
Yes, I've scaled it back each and every year. Like
Right.
this year, we scaled it back a little further. It's a lot tighter than we should. I mean, I'm looking at actual revenues, actual expenditures, and giving 2%, 3% margin, and even cutting that down. So yes, we should be a little tighter for 26, 27. But as you get to that point, when you have no other fund balance that you're adding to your coffers, when you get to the point where you don't have enough to cover your budget, if you haven't been replenishing that fund balance, then you don't have enough fund balance to cover you. And we talked about that in the long range plan. You need to have something that's going to help you go further out.
And I guess that's just what kind of raises that risk level to me, right? Because if you say we've made it tighter, our budget tighter, but yet we're increasing what we're relying on fund balance for, those are opposite ends. We don't want to be going that direction. We want to be coming closer together.
But I also feel that the last couple of years, we've been in a situation where the state has not come out with their final budget until after we've finished budgeting. And so when any additional monies are forwarded to us, and last year there were some additional funds, that money can go in to help replace the money that we're borrowing basically out of the reserves. And so
Do you remember what the, like,
I don't know the dollar amount from last year, but
just the magnitude of it? I'm just curious.
So, an example, this year is gonna be another 130,000. If the legislation comes through with the extra 1% that they're talking about, that's another 130
Right.
that I couldn't add to this budget because I'm not sure if it's
It's
going
not
to
an
happen. It's
actual
not
known
really
yet.
committed, but they're talking strongly about it. And if it does happen, that's another 130. That would replace or mitigate that the 500,000 I took out. So you have situations like that. And in the prior year, it was probably about 300,000. So when the state comes with their numbers, yes, they'll add more money. We also look at additional revenue that we're talking about. I added an additional 150 to the state aid because we're looking at high cost and excess cost dollars. The state comes out with their numbers saying, this is what we think you should get based upon your averages and some of the information they have. They don't have the actual information. So simple math is we have some high cost, excess cost students and the total is 500,000. Well, the actual students we have in this district, the expenditures and the reimbursement we should get should be 700,000. So they're estimating 5. We could show 7, and then that's where you have some revenue differences because they're going to actually pay you for the 700,000. I have made it tighter by looking at that 700,000 and saying, you know what, let's be conservative and take 100,000 from that 700,000 and add it to this budget. So I'm looking at all revenue possibilities that could happen and all expenditures, and you're getting a little tighter, but you still need a little bit of margin to go forward.
I guess I just get nervous with increasing that mark, like what we're pulling from fund balance.
Yes,
That's-
yes, and as contracts, as prices, as tuitions, as everything starts to increase, we're still looking at, is your revenue increasing accordingly? And that's the big gap. Everything's going up 5%, but your revenue is only going up 2%. Where's the difference going to be made up? Thank you. Proposition 2.
Desmond, before you move on, right now, currently our tax levy is it 2.38, somewhere in that neighborhood? I think back on your report card.
The tax levy you were talking about,
No, the next slide. Nope. Where were you on the report card from the state?
the tax report card from the state is, this is the contingency budget, which actually shows the percentage increase in the proposed budget. We could go with.
What's the current tax levy now on the $59 million plus budget?
I'm not sure what you're asking for.
There should be a number for the tax levy. I thought I saw 2.38 to the right there. Is there a number tax levy?
2.38, 2.384,359, if my answer did. That is the 4% that you're allowed by New York State to have based upon the current budget.
Okay.
So you take the 59,908,963 and multiply by 4%, and that is the amount that the state will allow every school district to have as part of their reserves,
So
or
what
their
is-
fund balance.
I think what you're asking is, what is our 2%? What is our tax increase this year?
Our tax increase this year was 2.68.
So that's where we're at
2.68. I thought
2.6.
it- okay. 2.68.
2.68.
Last year, I think we were over 4. Am I correct with that?
I'm not, can't remember
Okay.
off the top of my head, but I'll look into that for you. So we have proposition 1, 59,608,963. And then proposition number 2, which is the creation of the repair reserve not to exceed $500,000. Finally, we are basically looking at the upcoming due dates. We've got May 5th, which is the legal budget hearing. And the most important date to me, besides my anniversary, is May 19th.
That was a good catch.
She's watching. And of course, I would like to end with the budget calendar. Any questions? And we can go further into fund balance or whatever you want, but if there's anything else, I would gladly talk to you or email any information.
Just so the board knows, this evening, we're going to be voting on that proposed budget, that 59 million plus. So if you have any questions, now's the time. Our next meeting is going to be the budget hearing, which Desmond and Joel present to the community. And then we go to to the budget vote on Desmond's anniversary.
Good day.
Can you just flip back to the slides that you had with the different options and just talk through why we feel the one using the 500,000 as the best option out of?
We went with the 500,000 option. We were going to either use part of the ERS reserves. We did have an increase in the ERS reserves, an increase in the rate that we're paying for ERS. So I thought it was appropriate that we could use some of the ERS reserves. We also did that last year in our budget. There's a slight increase of about $1,800 between what we used last year and this year. So ERS is constantly going up, even though TRS is going down. I felt it would be a little bit more applicable to do this than to take it all out of the fund balance, which I'm not, once again, I am not comfortable pulling all of it out of the fund balance. This one was based upon the fact that we were hoping that the state aid, additional state aid would come in, which just hasn't, like I said, it's supposed to be tomorrow, but we'll postpone it again. And then we thought perhaps we would use maybe the fund balance or a combination. But this one was a little bit cleaner because we know exactly how much we're using for fund balance, and the ERS reserve is based upon the ERS increase.
Did we look at that fund balance decrease to look to see if there was any pieces of it that we could, instead of going all toward using the 500,000 in fund balance? Like, did we go through an exercise of what could we, that middle option, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, the 576 is kind of the number we're at, but I can't go any lower without, then we start to go even more in cutting expenses or cutting costs that we need to do. If that's the case, then, I start trimming back on some of the things that we're getting to the buildings, some other items, I would just trim them out. And I know we have a little bit of margin, yes, but that's, once again, we talked about that little bit of cushion just so you can hedge yourself against some insecurities. This is where we were at the 576. To go any lower would be.
Yeah, I just think that going forward, we really need to look at, instead of just always relying on the fund balance. And I know the ERS reserve, I think that's a good one, right? Because the costs there have increased. So that is what that reserve is there for. But I do think, administration, we should really start each year when we have this, not just relying on that, but looking at to see where we can make adjustments in terms of reductions so that we don't always just go straight to the fund balance. Would just be my suggestion.
Yeah, just going back to history, when we had some of the real big deficits, fund balance wasn't going to solve those deficits. The deficits had to come from staffing or whatever else. So we got to be very conscious of the fact that that could hit us again. So we do have to look at, and I know there was a statement made at one or two of our last meetings that we didn't touch staffing.
Right.
So we have to be aware that that could be a possibility down the road. So,
and that's really what I'm talking about.
We currently rely on the fund balance to balance that budget. Desmond, real quick, we vote on the budget tonight. That can't be altered because it's going to the public on 2 weeks from today and then to the voters in about a month from now. If we get additional state aid, the plan is to put that money back into where we pulled from the reserves?
Yes.
Okay.
And pull it mostly to the fund balance.
The fund balance.
The reserve, your ERS
I meant
pretty solid, and I think
correct.
I may or may not, but if you got that 130, that's going to go back towards that bottom line there.
Yeah, and just to be clear, not my intent to look at staffing right away, but to look at
understood.
What there is
want to
that
look at
can be
staffing right away, but
right, exactly.
We don't want to get
I just
to a
don't want to
point where
get
we have
us to a point where that reliance on fund balance is so much larger than that then all of a sudden it does become a disastrous year, right? And I think just looking at that 5-year budget projection, it looked okay, right? And it looked like we should be in the positive this year, and we're still relying on additional fund balance. So that's where my concern is, right? Everything, I think when we looked at that, like the next 4 years, we're in the black. The 5th year was in the red. But clearly, even in this year, we're still relying on some fund balance. So, just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page in the community here, is right, that we are doing okay, but it's not exactly where we need to be.
I think in your 27-28 school year budget, you will really start to look at what you're talking about. Do we need to make some serious or look at some slicing that we probably have to do because things are going to be, that fund balance may not be there. Because I'm budgeting tighter and tighter and tighter. By the time you get to 27-28, it may not have that margin that I'm looking for. And going forward, we're going to have to find other ways. Once again, your revenue from the state and your tax levy do not always equal what you're expending. And that's where the hard decisions have to be made. Do we cut or do we use fund balance? But eventually that will run
That's
out.
not gonna be, yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions for Desmond? Desmond, we want to thank you and the entire administrative staff for putting together a budget that we hope that the community will support.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our consent items, EA1 to D.
Public comments.
We skip public comments.
Oh, okay. Watch what happens. Anyone for public comment?
Mary Ann?
Okay. Mary Ann has something?
No?
Oh, I thought Means I surrender. Okay, nothing for public comment. Now we'll move into our consent agenda. Thank you, Lisa. I think I missed that at a previous meeting too. Okay, consent items EA1 to D.7. Again, our usual, if there's an item you want to pull out, have further discussion, you need clarification, you can do that. If you want to accept it as a complete block, we'll move forward that way, or if you want to pull items out. So,
You can make a mention of
is anyone that, well, we go for a motion to accept.
Will you be making special mention of item number 3 under personnel for retirements?
Probably not. No,
Okay.
I will.
Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to say no and not allow it.
Yes.
And I have no
Can I have a motion to move our consent? Motion by Ed, second by Heather. Discussion. Everyone okay? Do you want to? Okay. No further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Begrudgingly aye.
So carried.
Okay, so this evening we have with us two folks that have been appointed. We have Christopher, hopefully I get this right, Favecchio, the school bus driver sitting there in the back. Welcome aboard. And then right in front of him, I believe, Alexa Dunn will be a leave replacement at the high school for the remainder, for a good portion of the spring. So welcome aboard.
Congratulations. Just a few comments. We have 4 individuals retiring from the district, and again, our retirement celebration will be in our June meeting. But tonight, I'd just like to say a few things. I was going to have.
Nope.
So I thought, read his letter, but I figured we'd need a few boxes of tissues here, so we're not doing that. But I just want to say, I normally say this at our ceremony in June, but we have 4 individuals that put in over 128 years of service to this school district. Denise, Mary Ann, Valerie, and Joel. I think right now the person that's probably got his head down the most would be our high school principal, because I think, and he will attest to that those 3 individuals at the high school were probably the backbone to running the school on a daily basis. So they'll be certainly missed, but hopefully in retirement they're going to enjoy it. Wherever they're going, whatever they're going to do, it's going to be well deserved. So I want to congratulate those 3 individuals for over 106 years of dedication to the Highland Central School District, which is really remarkable. So congratulations to Denise, Mary Ann, and Valerie. To our superintendent, I don't think we've been waiting for this day, but it's here. Joel has put in his retirement letter for a good purpose. I mean, he's going to be moving to a warmer climate, hopefully, unless it gets warmer here in New York, and he'll stay, but I doubt that. Joel's put 22 years into this school district. He started out as an assistant principal at the middle school, moved to principalship at the elementary school, and then we moved him on to superintendent. And I've said this to Joel, I've said it to many people. Joel's probably one of very, very few in the state of New York that's gone through some traumatic times in our school district history. We never experienced COVID. He was on the tail end of COVID, had to deal with that. And then we had a major fire at our middle school. And I don't think any other superintendent in New York State can attest to have to work through those difficulties. And he was able to navigate with the support of the rest of our administrative team to bring the middle school students up here to the high school, to work with the high school students, not to intermingle too much, but well planned out situation. And then we had other issues that I don't want to mention, but he had to work through those. So for the 4+ years that Joel's been here, I think the district has moved forward in great strides. We've passed our budget each and every year. That's a testament to the administrative staff led by our superintendent. So I just want to say, I know we'll say more in June, but I just want to say thank you to Joel for his years of service here to the district and the support that he's given us as board members and we've given him as a superintendent of schools. So congratulations, retirement well deserved. Thank you.
I'll have a letter out to the community where I'll be able to sit at my computer and drudge through how I'm going to say thank you to everyone.
Patrick will be throwing you the picture.
He might need them himself too.
Okay, we'll move on. We did our student rep. Now we have under curriculum and instruction our principal's report. So we'll start with the high school.
Good evening, everybody. Just one highlight of a date that's upcoming. It's a busy time for all 3 of our buildings, specifically at the high school. We have a college and career fair that is coming up this Thursday, the 23rd, which will be taking place in the gym. We have over 30 different representatives varying from colleges, universities, trades, unions, and military branches. Our focus is very heavy on our 10th grade class, but it is open for our 11th and 12th grade seniors as well. I just sent out a communication to those families this afternoon, encouraging families to have discussions about this event, the importance of it, and to really take ownership and participate in the event, to start exploring some options, asking questions of the representatives. So it's always a good point in the year, an exciting time, and especially with prom right around the corner, Disney trip. So a lot of good events happening at the high school. So just wanted to highlight that. Thank you.
Any questions for Megan? Thank you, sir. Middle school?
All right, good evening, everybody. I have one addition to my board report. So also on Thursday, at the middle school, we have it's National Book Day. And so we have an awesome reading, they call it reading/book club. We have an awesome book club that Mrs. Neer, our school psychologist, is the advisor for, and they're really into it. So they put together this whole National Book Day, drop everything and read, where students have been asked or encouraged to dress in something cozy, to cozy up to a good book, and or dress as your favorite book character. And throughout the day, we're going to be having different things that kids can participate in as a way to kind of, read. Yeah. So that was not on my my principal's report, but I wanted to add that. So that's my only addition.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Elementary school.
All right.
Oh, wait, one more thing. Logan, during his report, Logan during his report mentioned that we went to the firehouse as a school. He was there helping our kids. So we were gonna we didn't know how to shout that out, but
he's the reason it was great. They were so excited to see him.
He did an amazing job. He gave himself no credit, which I love, just for other reasons. But I really want to shout him out to everybody, especially on TV, because the kids all came back and were like, that kid, they were talking about him and how awesome it was. Great role model. So I wanted to put that out there too. So really awesome job.
Thank you.
Mr. Rizzo was there too.
Just to be aware, Logan is a cadet firefighter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fire department.
Sorry, Ian. I almost forgot.
I guess I got two little things just to add. Just one's more of a highlight. On the back of my report, there was something about the World Down Syndrome Day. We had a tremendous turnout for socks for that day, and you mismatched socks, and that's kind of like a World Down Syndrome thing. So we had a tremendous, crazy turnout. I didn't even have nearly the best socks for the day. There was kids that wore socks that they held hands. They had magnets and stuff. It was wild. And the last thing I just want to say is our Kids Heart Challenge. We put I think it was 10,500 for our goal. We just kicked this off and we're already past it. Wow. It's insane. So I thought it would be really cool that we just
what's it called again?
Kids Heart Challenge. It's like Jump Rope for Heart.
Oh,
Same thing.
okay.
Yeah, they just changed the name of it. So I thought it was really awesome. I mean, it's a shame because Melissa is now going to have to be pied a bunch of times. I don't know. They chose her, not me. I don't know why. So, yeah. So Melissa and I are, for the top people that got the donations, we're going to get pied a bunch by a ton of kids. So, awesome. Melissa's getting volunteered for it. All right. Any addition? Anything? Any questions?
I think next year when we do the presentation for the middle school at the firehouse, we're gonna have a guest participant. We're gonna have Ian show up that afternoon because he is a volunteer firefighter in his hometown, and I think he could demonstrate the proper techniques of bailout.
I think Mr. Miller should also be involved. We'd agree.
Yeah, why would I not trust that?
See, feeling some love tonight.
Okay, our director's report. Okay, I got some questions. I wasn't gonna let it go another month. Just real quick, a couple, touch on a few things. With our technology, Rich, I know you spoke about the Chromebook repairs. I know we gave out a lot of Chromebooks during COVID, and I know you're working diligently on, repairs and all that, but you touched on 6th and 7th grade, and you had 125 devices that were processed during March and April. What was the normal repair items? Was it batteries, the chargers? I mean, what was some of the issues?
It's a mixed bag. In some cases it's keyboards missing keys, cracked screens, batteries that aren't holding a charge anymore.
Are we holding the students or parents, I guess, are responsible for some damages that are not accidental? I don't think many students damage their cell phones as much as they might damage their Chromebooks. I've heard situations where, and this goes, district-wide, that sometimes the Chromebooks aren't being brought in on a daily basis to be utilized, and that's an issue because district purchased, I don't know how many Chromebooks, I think from 3rd, 4th grade up. I don't think we did it at the younger grade levels. It's a lot of Chromebooks that are out there, and it's an investment that the district, made into the students, and I think they got to respect the fact that we've given them a Chromebook to help in their educational process, and they got to respect that. If there is issues where you think it's some deliberate damage, or they're just misusing them and they're They're not charging them when there should, and it affects and we're paying for that. You know, we talk about a budget deficit. It all adds up. So I like the fact that you're on top of, you know, the inspections periodically with each grade level. I don't know if you've done the high school yet, but, you know, the repairs are necessary to keep them functioning. I don't know how many new Chromebooks we had to replace, those that were beyond repair, that got damaged. So I think we just got to stay on top of that, and I appreciate that. I know with our pupil personnel for Sarah, one of your bullets here were staffing planning for 26, 27. Can you just expand on, oh, there you are. Can you just expand on that a little bit? I mean, what does that entail?
Just looking at student service delivery, and as kids move from one school to another school, we have to look at the number of service hours they have or the classes that they're enrolling in. So we need to just make sure we have enough people to cover the students in each grade.
And that includes staffing having enough student load that we're not, you know, teaching one or two individuals, that we have a good
so we're
student
making
load.
sure that the load is evenly spread amongst all the staff.
And for our cafeteria, John, I saw in your report that we're at 38% free and reduced lunch. Has that been the norm for the last several years, or are we at a steady pace, or are we increasing?
Pretty normal. It went up a little bit, and now it might be slightly lower than that, like 37.
But it did spike at one point, and now it's kind of stable?
Like COVID and everything was going on, but that's pretty much our normal.
We got just above 40 at one point, but we're typically in the high 30s.
Okay, because, yeah, I saw 38% on his report.
What is
Thank
the
you.
outlook for that program in terms of going forward? Is that something that the state's going to reconsider each year, or do we have any?
So for CEP, as long as the state keeps the money in the budget, we should be fine. It's really up to the budget.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those things that we don't necessarily know. It could change with this budget that they just did the budget extender on. You know, I don't think that's the case, or we would get some kind of rumor at this point, but I think that is up for conversation every year. But I do know that the legislature and the governor proclaim to be committed to keeping that in place. So, you know, all ends have to meet at some point. So I could see them looking at that again down the road.
Okay, anybody have any?
I do have a question about transportation. Kathy, are you noticing anything with the bridge and like the us having to, you know, bring our students to the other side, and I mean, I don't think it's gonna get better anytime soon. So are we prepared for like timing and all that stuff?
Yes, we are detouring. I know that we're using the Rhinecliff Bridge for some of our routes. So yeah, we are preparing, and we've been successful. Friday we were running late because with the regular traffic and the bridge.
Yeah.
So it depends on the day. Like today was smooth sailing.
Oh, I got here on time too. So yeah.
Today was smooth sailing. Last Friday, no.
Okay. I was just curious
because to detour.
Okay, unfortunately, that's another hiccup for you guys.
Do we know the anticipated completion? Is it 27 or 28?
I don't know that.
I thought I heard 28.
I heard 28.
End of 2027, I believe they said.
Late 27?
Yeah, so 28.
Yeah, that means 2028. To be honest, I know the government works.
Okay.
Just 19 every morning and every afternoon.
Just come real early, Joel, and then leave real late.
I have a trick, but I'm not going to say it out loud.
It is a very good trick.
In the morning.
Okay, nothing else for our directors. We'll go to Dr. Boyd.
All right, good evening, everyone. So I'm a member of the Instructional Advisory Council that meets for the county once a month. So there's been a big push in trying to look at the calendars for each of the school districts in the county and trying to find at least one day out of the year where we have shared professional development So it's just a way to increase our offerings without a huge increase with cost, right? So if some of the districts are specializing in something and providing it, we'll be able to send some of our teachers there, and we might be bringing in some of their teachers to some of our offerings. So it's been something that's been on the table for a little while, so we're getting a little bit closer to that. It's not always easy trying to manage all of those calendars and all of those things, but it's something we've been focusing on over the last few months. Next week, I will be having an additional substitute training. So we usually put these on every 1 to 2 months, depending on the applications that are coming in. Once we get a small cohort of substitutes, we do bring them in and onboard them with the training before we put them into the classrooms and into the situations. We're in the middle of our New York State ELA 3 through 8 testing. Our elementary school finished their testing last week, and our middle school had day 1 of their testing today, and we'll be finishing up most of the students with day 2 tomorrow, and then filling in some makeups at the end of the week. Pretty close to as we get ready for our kindergarten orientation, our final kindergarten numbers, we are up to 114 packets out with 97 returned, which seems pretty high. Which is good that we have these students in and we're getting them in, which means our communication going out to the community is working, and we have most of those return packets scheduled for the May 8th. So we actually have a specific time that they bring their child in for our kindergarten screening process, which is put on by our elementary school to get to know our incoming class. And lastly, along with Artemis 2, over the last few weeks, we have some of our classes working on a lot of the solar system. So we have some solar system gallery walks and some fun events coming up, especially at our elementary level, that we are looking forward to.
Okay, any questions for Dr. Boyd? Thank you. Superintendent?
Okay, so we are in the final stages of creating our budget newsletter with the assistance of Jess Murray at Ulster Bosse's. We'll be finishing up those last stories so that can go to print. Now that our budget is on the agenda for this evening, Desmond and I will be meeting with an Ulster Bosse's film crew next week to record the video presentation of our budget. We'll actually be meeting with Jess Murray tomorrow to start crafting the script that's going to be used for this year's presentation. In the last couple of weeks, we've had a support services meeting just after spring break to discuss getting together an updated building condition survey, which, as you all know, we need a building condition survey every 5 years as part of a mandate through New York State, but it also helps to inform future capital projects. So we want to make sure that that's done. We have to have it into the state by next spring, but we'd like to get that information together so that if there is any capital project discussions that the board wants to have in the fall, it can be informed by the building condition survey. So just announcement here that our Spring Gala Educational Foundation annual fundraising dinner and Husky Alumni Award and Pride Award evening is going to take place on Friday, June 5th from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Tavern at Du Bois Farms here in Highland. Tickets are $65 a piece, and they can be purchased through Becky Auchmoody at 845-234-1522. Again, 845-234-1522. She also will take Venmo at Becky, B-E-C-K-Y Auchmoody, A-U-C-H-M-O-O-D-Y. This is all on also on our front page of our website, so any of that information you can obtain there as well. And just for the community, I know it's on our website and we've done a Facebook blast on this, but our Husky Alumni Award recipients this year are Dennis Bragg, class of 72, Gina Hansett, class of 1981, and Husky Pride recipient, our very own president of the Board of Education, Alan Barone. So hopefully people will come out and support the dinner and the fundraising that the Educational Foundation does every year. This organization has raised thousands of dollars over the last number of years to help support programs throughout our school district at all levels. So there's no specific item that they're fundraising for this year other than to build the coffers to be able to respond when a project or an idea comes up from a building. So it's nice to have some funding there. This past year, I know that they help support the maple syrup project here at the high school. Over the years, they've done the water bubblers at some of the schools, the bottle filling stations. They've done risers. They've done different things over the years to enhance the district. Also, they bought some equipment for the outdoor pavilion. It's not called that. It's called the concession stand. So some equipment for keeping foods warm. So we like to support this organization, and it's a good evening supporting the 3 folks that will be honored that evening. So hopefully people will join us. And then finally, we met today with New York State, with NYSERDA, with a company that is doing our bus electrification study, so that we can apply for a waiver on the bus electrification. Our kickoff meeting was this morning, and we should have a full report for the district to use to apply for that waiver within 6 months or so. And that's all I have.
Any questions for the superintendent?
Any updates on the building security assessment?
I haven't gotten that back yet. They've finalized their walkthroughs. I think they're just in the report creation stage, so we'll have that, I'm assuming, in the next few weeks or so. And I'll include that in my Friday update. That is not a, I'm sure that is not a report that I'm going to be able to share publicly, because it's going to have safety and security things that are really kept more confidential, but I'll make sure that you have a copy.
Yeah, and I think just the community knowing, right, that it's been completed and, you know.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else for the superintendent? Thank you, Joel. Okay, on the Board of Education, new business, the BOCES administrative budget vote. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approves the Ulster County Board of Cooperative Educational Services administrative budget in the amount of $7,428,827. Have a motion, please. Motion by Tom, second. Second by Heather. Discussion.
Do we know what the administrative budget was last year?
I don't.
Offhand?
Not off the top of my head. I could probably look it up. Do you need it before you vote, or is it something I can get to you?
Well, we're going to pass it anyhow. I want to express concern at how rapidly it's growing. BOCES has been costing the district quite a bit lately between the capital project.
I have invited Dr. Schenker to come to a meeting.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to make this meeting, so hopefully the next meeting or the budget vote night. Those are the next 2 dates that I had requested that he come and give a presentation to the board.
No, I respect its offerings for the students, but it is a minimal, in proportion, it's a minimal student body, and it seems like their financial needs keep growing and growing, especially with the lease agreement for the new areas, plus the capital project, plus the increase in the administrative budget. I just begin to wonder at what point is it really taxing the district and taking away from its own ability, the taxpayers in our area to support the direct education. So that being said,
just also he has offered to give a tour of the facility. If people want to go there, he can meet with you there. So just to put that out there, that was what they did on their annual meeting back at the beginning of April. Unfortunately, nobody from Highland was able to make that particular meeting. So he's offered for anyone that wants to go up, if you want to go as a group or you want to go individually, he'll make arrangements for that as well.
I guess it's, on my part, it's not downplaying the facility. The facility is excellent. I mean, I've heard so many good comments about it. My issue is, are we serving the students' needs? That's my big issue.
We've had this for a couple
of course, and I don't like to hold back punches at times, but that push was basically, in my mind, take it the way you want, a political move. The opportunity to invest in a infrastructure that you have control of, and it's an asset moving forward. The BOCES district didn't approach that. I mean, it was an easy to buy into a lease agreement. We don't know where that lease agreement will go in 20 years from now. Right now, it's written for 20 years. Who knows? You know, anything can happen there. So I think my biggest issue, and I will present that to Dr. Schenker when he comes in, is that are we serving all the needs of our students in all the component districts? You know, Kingston being local to the facility moves a lot of students in that direction, but I'm hearing bits and pieces that not all our students have the opportunity. And then again, you know, I've said this in the past, our students are leaving the confines of their campus to travel, you know, up to the Kingston area and back for particular. There had to be other avenues that we can take, you know, sharing services with our neighboring school districts to pick up some of the, you know, the trades that we can do for both the male and the female. So there is opportunities, and I think we're just moving in a direction to lay the burden and the cost on the taxpayers. And again, just like you echoed before, Ed, you know, we have their capital project, and we also have the lease agreement that the component districts are paying into. But enough said there. And I really like to hear the community, you know, and their input. That's why we have public comment front end and back end, but, you know, sometimes we don't hear enough.
Do we know, I know the building or facility is beautiful, but I did hear at some points that there wasn't the necessary equipment there for certain classes too. Do we know if that has been rectified and those classes are really full up and running, or?
We don't know. We don't know.
Maybe if we could get some information from Dr. Schenker
I think that's why it's important that he comes to the meeting.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Are we required to make this vote tonight without that outstanding information?
Yes.
Yeah, they hold it on April 20th. It used to be a Wednesday. We had to move our meetings to Wednesday, and they finally changed it to Tuesday, which is our meeting night. But yes, we do. That number doesn't include the entire budget that represents the Ulster County BOCES.
Yeah, so this past year it was $7,283,083 for the administrative side. So it's up about $220,000. The total operating budget was about $100,000.
So, I mean, thinking of that increase, which is not a lot, based on a new facility and then a revamping of their current facility in Port Ewan, you would think that there would be more staffing involved, so that budget could have increased to, you know, give more students the opportunity to utilize the facilities. Anyway.
I look forward to hearing, I look forward to him being here.
Yeah. So we have the resolution on the floor, proposed by Tom, seconded by Heather. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. BOCES ballot for election. There are 4 vacancies on the Board of Cooperative Educational Services to be filled at the annual election to be held on April 21st, 2026. The trustees or Board of Education of each component school district by resolution may cast 1 vote for each vacancy to be filled. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, recommends the election of the following candidates to serve on the Board of Cooperative Educational Services. Seat number 1, Slogady's 3-year term, July 1, 2026 to June 30th, 2029, Krista Barringer. Seat number 2, at large, 3-year term, July 1, 2026 to June 30th, 2029. Seat 3, at large, 3-year term, July 1, 2026 to June 30th, 2029. Seat 4, at large, 3-year term, July 1, 2026 to June 30th, 2029. Those 3 candidates are Donald Green from Walk Hill, Marla Kaplan from Ellenville, and Suzanne Jordan from Kingston. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Ed, second by Heather. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Budget and property tax proposition for 2026-2027 school year. Be resolved that the Highland Central School District adopts the proposed 2026-2027 school budget in the amount of $59,608,963 to be present to the voters, to present to the voters at the annual meeting on May 19th, 2026, and approves the following proposition to the taxpayers. Shall the Board of Education of the Highland Central School District be authorized to expend for budgetary purposes in the 2026-2027 school year the sum of $59,608,963 and to levy the necessary tax therefore. Be it further resolved that the Highland Central School District Board of Education approves the property tax report card and authorizes a submission to the State Education Department. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Janine, second by Ed. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried, 5-0. Okay, candidates placement on the ballot. Highland Central School District. District clerk will draw the names of the running candidates for the Highland Central School District. School board determine the list order on the ballot.
Okay.
So our district clerk,
All
Mrs.
right,
Finiglia, will do that.
I'm gonna actually have my co-assistant chairperson, Mary Ann Ingraham. So we have 4 names running. They are Heather Welch, Alan Barone, Shauna Newkirk Reynolds, and Jocelyn Swarton. So I'm gonna actually just get them all in there. And this is the order of which they will be placed for the meeting on May 19th. Okay? All right. And then just read the name out loud. Go ahead.
Heather Welch. Alan Barone. Jocelyn Swart. Shauna Newkirk Reynolds.
Okay. Thank you, Mary Ann. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Anyone for old business?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if there was any updates on the discussions regarding the elementary school in terms of the rotation of class or teachers or students, if there's been any further discussion just in planning for next year.
No, we brought that up at our last meeting, and I don't think the principals were here at the last meeting, so.
I did forward the information on, and he was working with his.
We talked to the 5th grade team about doing that coming up. I didn't want to do it before the state testing, so it's something that they're up for it, and it splits nicely because there's enough sections so that we can rotate around. Because we kind of did it, and my board report says that we did it in 3rd grade with science, and we do it every year. So we tried it out in 3rd. But yeah, I was just waiting for state testing to be completely done before I truly give it a good, the try.
Okay. So something I consider for next year. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Anyone else for old business? Okay, under miscellaneous, anything for the good and welfare of the district? Joel mentioned the Educational Foundation debate. So if you can attend, please do. I know it's a great fundraiser over the years for the purposes of educating and supplying our students with the proper equipment and funds to continue their educational trip. So, anybody else for anything for the good and welfare of the district? All right, I'll open the meeting back up to public comment, and this is for general items. Okay, we'll close public comment.
Such a quiet crowd. There, come on. You have something to say.
The board will be will be adjourning to go into executive session for personnel discussion for compensation. Can I have a motion for us to adjourn the meeting to go into executive session? Motion by Janine, second by Heather. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
We'll see you all on May 6th.